silicone mold making and resin casting. So this is something I've been doing for quite a while. I've been model shipbuilding for about maybe 25 years, I guess now, maybe even longer. And it's when I started buying scale parts, I primarily build 1/96 scale U.S. and Canadian, some but mostly U.S. now military ships, and the parts are small, and I always thought they'd be a little hard to a little bit hard to cast. But then when I got into it, I found it was much easier, and I saved quite a bit of money by making one part and just making molds of a lot of other parts instead of having to buy all these fittings all the time. So I want to share this with you. So today I'm going to speak about the tools and materials that are needed, about one-piece silicone molds. There's one-piece and two-piece type molds. I primarily use one piece, and then the resin casting. I apologize for the molds being spelled without a U. It's a lot of things I took were from the American site. So for tools and supplies, the first thing I'm going to talk about is what you need. You need an X-Acto knife or a cutting knife, a pair of scissors for cutting out your patterns and pieces, a Sharpie for marking, a ruler for measuring, obviously, cotton swabs for cleaning parts, tape for holding a lot of the mold pieces together, a scale, and this is a really big one. The scale, I bought one from Amazon. It wasn't that expensive, and it's really a vital tool when you're trying to measure the materials, because some of them are a 10-to-1 by weight, and it's much easier if you have a digital scale. Wax paper so you don't make a mess on your workbench. Isopropyl alcohol, that's for cleaning the molds when you're about to cast your resins. Paper towel for cleanup, obviously. Mixing containers. I usually buy these from a discount store, a dollar store here in Canada, or a buck or two they call it here. Stir sticks for mixing up the materials, a hot glue gun for making the molds, wood and foam core. This is for making molds for your holding material for making the molds, or a plastic mold. I'll show you that in a second as well, and aluminum foil for making molds. All these three are last materials for making the cast mold. So silicone mold making, the company I use, the material I use is a company called Luminite. They're out of the United States. And I know they sell all over the world. I can buy directly from the manufacturer, and it tends to be the least expensive from buying it directly from them. It doesn't require degassing, so you don't need a vacuum chamber to make these molds. And it picks up exact detail, which is very true. I'll show you that in a few minutes. 45 minutes work time, so you have lots of time to get out air bubbles and nasty little things that happen when you make a mold, and about a 12 to 18 hours of remold time, or demold time, I should say. I usually leave for about 24 hours, leave it for one day. So these are the kind of molds that I've used in the past and that are available. The first one here, this is, I purchased this from an American company called Etsy. And somebody actually 3D printed this type of mold. And you can see it has pieces here. And what you can do is you can extend it and make the mold as large as you want. So this was a nice piece. Has an open bottom, so it's easy to take the piece off. I put it on a piece of acrylic typically. And it's held together with these bulldog type clips. A foam core box. Foam core is paper with foam on the middle of it. This is what we call it in Canada. This is the mold. This is the box I'm going to show you how I'm going to make it today. It's quite good, but you have to seal all the joints from the mold material, and I'll go over that with my presentation there. And aluminum foil box. This actually I discovered this on a YouTube video one time. This fellow used aluminum foil to make a box, and I thought that was quite ingenious because it doesn't cost anything. It's very inexpensive, and you can make the box whatever size you want. So this is I'm going to show you here a little video of me making that box there, and I'll just let this run. It's just about a minute or two here. Here we go. I'm using a hot glue gun. Sealing up the cracks here so it doesn't leak. Important to get all the cracks. I've learned that the hard way. There we go. That's the finished mold there. Finished box. So the plug I'm going to show you. So this is the box I made here, and this is this is what I'm molding. So this is a balsa wood raft done in 1/96 scale, and you can see there's slats here. And so what I've done is the first part of this is cleaning this part with isopropyl alcohol. You want to make sure there's no contaminants on with silicone. Any kind of contaminant can actually not let your mold set up properly or unevenly, and this can cause issues. So I clean it with the alcohol and use a cotton swab, get into all the crevices. And then I hot glue the part inside this box here. I'll show you what these the measurements are for in 1 second here. So the measurements, as you saw on the top of that box, were to determine the amount of material you need. This is on their website. If you go to the Illumilite website, they will you can put in these values, which is the size of the mold, the size of the part, and it'll actually tell you how much silicone you should be using. It's telling me now that I should be using 25.75 grams of silicone. They say to allow for 20%, and what that is when you're on the put it in the cup, it sticks to the cup on the sides, so you lose some. And the material mix ratio is 10:1, so 10 of the base parts of 3 parts catalyst. So the working time again is about 45 minutes. Demold time is about 12 to 18 hours. Again, I usually leave it overnight. And you have to mix thoroughly, scraping from the sides, and then you remove as many air bubbles and pour slowly. So here's another little video here. Hope you all like the music. So that was 30 grams of the base. That was another 3 grams of the hardener. Good idea to wear gloves with this. It's really oily and it does stick to you. Mixing thoroughly, scraping the sides, scraping the bottom, make sure you get all the material mixed. Again, if it's not mixed thoroughly, it will get an uneven mold. it's like watching paint dry, I guess. You see those bubbles. You see bubbles coming up from it right now, and that's from the agitation. I've tried stirring it slowly sometimes, and it doesn't work. So what I do is I bang it. That's pushing the air bubbles out, and then I'm stopping here for a second because I see too many bubbles. Just bursting them with the stir stick. This is the big trick, is actually pouring it slowly. Something I learned over time is to take your time when you're pouring it in. You start from one corner and let it flow. Tilting it sometimes as well too. And this one had a lot of detail with those slats. There's a lot of detail in that wrap. But pouring it in there and just taking your time letting it seep in makes a difference. Sorry about the focus. It was an autofocus camera. And at the end, when you're filling molding, you can just speed it up a little bit. There you are. So that'll take overnight to dry. And you don't have to put it in any heat, or it's just at room temperature. It needs to dry. So taking the mold apart. So I start, the nice thing about the foam core box or even the aluminum foil one, it's very easy. You just peel off the sides and you break it away. I usually trim the little corners off because you'll get the little pieces there. And you see this is the silicone mold. Those little fins that you're seeing here are actually the mold material went between the rafts, even though they're glued together. I just usually go in there with a small scissors or an X-Acto knife and just trim the pieces there because I like to make a little bit of a cleaner mold. But that's the mold, and you see the raft right there that came apart. So I'm going to talk now about the casting. So you made the mold, now you want to make the part. So the good thing about the molds is that you can make multiple parts, and that's exactly what I was talking about in the beginning. That I need lots of these pieces for the ships I build. So this is a way to do it. So the same company again. This is they're called their RC3. This is their regular work time material. It has 3 minutes of work time. They do have an extended one. It's called an RC4, I believe, and it does give you a little bit more work time. But I heard that the material itself doesn't have the same density that this one does. So this you can actually it takes 10 minutes to make a part. You can really take it apart, take it out from that quick of a time. Picks up exact detail. It can be machined, sanded, drilled, and tapped. And it's true, actually. I've actually made some working parts. I do radio control of these warships, and I've actually used the resin to make parts that I've actually drilled and tapped so I can put screws in. It holds that. And it takes filler and paint very well. I usually put a water-based primer and paint, and you can paint the parts very easily. There's the website, illuminlight.com. So for the resin casting, this is it's a 1-to-1 mixture. So I used a scale again, and you can see there's my piece of wax paper on top of my scale so I don't ruin it, and a piece of wax paper underneath. What the thing I started doing only about maybe 5-6 years ago is I started heating my molds. I never used to do it and wondered why I had sometimes material parts that were flexible, they never hardened properly, and sometimes had lots of air bubbles. And I found that through heating the mold in an oven at 150 degrees Fahrenheit for 5 minutes, or in a microwave, which is 1 minute over for high temperature per pound. So with this little part, it takes 20 seconds in the oven to make it warm. You can also use a hot air blower If it's a small part and you're not really too concerned, you can actually heat the part that way as well. So you shake the resin parts A and B, make sure they're mixed up. You measure equal amounts and start pouring, get in here, mix it up, and then pour your part. So I'm going to show you another little video again. This is me mixing the part. And I'm actually going to be showing you pouring into the mold that we just made. I like pouring the darker material first and then the clear. It doesn't really matter which one you pour first. When you spill like this, you have to figure out this point maybe 1 gram difference, but that's not going to make that much difference. Mix it again. Here's our part. You can see how small it is at the scale of my hand. Mix it until it starts becoming clear. Right now it's cloudy. This is cloudy right now, and it'll become more clear, and then we'll explain it for it. So now you see it's starting to becoming more clear, and it's starting to clear. You pour slowly. Angle the parts sometimes as well. You see it's running into those strokes there. As you fill it to the point where it's just about to come over the mold because it was a flat bottom. And it's being a one piece, the bottom side would be not exposed. And watch out for air bubbles as well. There we are. And that's it. So you see the part right here. And this is the part I made there on the video. And you can see it picks up all the detail, all the ribs here on the raft, and picks up all the strakes. These are a few parts that I've made. This is for my USS North Carolina. They're 196 scale. So you saw how small that part was. Well, this is even smaller. This is a 20 millimeter Oerlikon munitions locker that are usually on deck, and I did about a good 150 of these. So you'll see the mold I made for this. I made multiples of that mold. This was all molded in one piece, except for these tubes here. This, I apologize for the phone ringing. I'm all by myself today. This was all built in one piece, including the fins. I made a plug with these fins on it, which is the walkway that goes across here. And sorry, I'll show you the mold of that in a second. So you can get a lot of detail out of the material. This is an insulator. This is a radio insulator, and that's a very, very small piece. I think this piece right here is only about 100,000, 110,000. So it's very, very small. It's very easy to clean up into. If you have an air bubble, you can use, I found this material to be really great. It's called Perfect Plastic. It comes from the plastic model people. Doesn't shrink and it dries very quickly. And it paints very easily. And these are my molds. You can see a few of the molds here. So that's the insulator there. These are those lockers, those Oerlikon lockers, and there's some rafts. This is the one part of the funnel, that black part you saw here. This one I didn't show you because it's actually attached to the boat. I made a rudder for a tugboat, a 124 scale tugboat, and that's a two-part mold. And the difference in the two-part mold is that you have both sides that are finished, and you cut or rip open the mold between it so you can get the part out. And that's it.